Welcome to CIA Declassified. Before we begin, we strongly recommend listening to our episode titled CIA Declassified Intelligence Assessment of Curses, Rituals, and Unconventional Influence. You can just search for any of those words right on my YouTube channel and it'll pull up the episode for you. That episode covers the high-level intelligence assessment of occult influence, which provides essential context for the specific field experiments we're about to detail in MK Ultra Subproject 142. We are the deep dive audio experience that excavates the most protected secrets of the 20th century. Today we dive into the truly unbelievable. Today we confront the agency's most radical hypothesis. If the Soviets could field psychics, could the U.S. weaponize magic? This is MK Ultra Subproject 142, active in the early 1970s, a project so bizarre that its declassification was initially met with disbelief. The core question was operational. Could unseen forces, be they genuine psychic ability or the calculated application of suggestion and ritual, be leveraged for intelligence purposes or used to induce chaos and failure in the enemy? Subproject 142 was driven by fear. Intelligence reports indicated that the Soviet Union was heavily invested in psychotronic research, specifically remote viewing and telepathic communication. The CIA, terrified of falling behind in a new psychic arms race, felt compelled to investigate every possible avenue, no matter how outlandish. The initial phase involved contracting known American clairvoyants and mediums to perform simple tasks, locating missing documents or predicting troop movements. The results were inconsistent, leading the project to pivot to darker, more manipulative avenues. Occult influence. The CIA MKUL 142 OCULUS report is the sole surviving technical document, a testament to the fact that money was actually spent on this. The project quickly moved from passive psychic testing to active ritual application. The most shocking protocols are detailed in the sections codenamed quote, black mass, end quote, and, quote, voodoo application, end quote, which involved hiring individuals claiming proficiency in ceremonial and chaos magic. The objective was not to summon a deity, but to conduct psychological and atmospheric operations. Emotional contagion, inducing panic or psychological distress in foreign leaders or agents remotely, and operational curses, placing rituals intended to cause equipment failure, political scandal, or unexpected medical crisis for a specific target. The report references the use of specific ritual artifacts, including, incredibly, a heavily redacted section detailing a requirement for, quote, biologically resonant materials, end quote, likely hair, fingernails, or personal items taken from the intended targets. One dedicated section details the attempts to train agency assets in astral projection or remote viewing based on occult practices. The goal was to physically send the consciousness of a subject to observe sensitive foreign locations, a literal spy who could pass through walls. The reports log subjects attempting to project to Soviet submarine bases and missile silos. The logs show consistent, almost comical failure, with most subjects reporting vague, non-operational observations like, quote, saw a lot of water and heard a Russian song, or, quote, feeling of coldness, maybe near a refrigerator, end quote. The section concludes that, quote, subjective narrative is not equivalent to verifiable intelligence. End quote. The most disturbing section details the curse efficiency trials. These were controlled experiments where a group of subjects was targeted with a ritualized curse intended to cause a defined outcome. For instance, a specific subject would develop a sudden non-fatal illness or suffer a personal injury. The results, thankfully, were statistically insignificant. However, the report is more concerned with the psychological impact on the practitioners themselves, noting the risk of, quote, psychogenic distress, end quote, and the erosion of the agency's professional image. The logs show the agency paying out significant sums to the occult practitioners, often referred to simply as, quote, the consultant or, quote, the oracle for services rendered. The CIA MKUL 142 Oculus report is a mosaic of paranoia and embarrassment. The redactions here are not just about protecting technology, but protecting the agency's reputation and hiding genuine human involvement in highly questionable rituals. We can hypothesize the purpose behind the most critical redactions. 1. Full names of practitioners and organizations. All specific names of the occultists and the organizations they belong to are redacted. Hypothesis: this protects the identity of U.S. citizens who were paid to conduct what were, at the time, potentially illegal or certainly immoral acts on behalf of the government, preventing massive public backlash and exposing fringe groups used by the state. 2. Exact location of rituals. The coordinates and specific facility names used for the Black Mass and Voodoo protocols are completely blacked out. Hypothesis: this hides the fact that official U.S. government facilities, or potentially even universities or military installations, were used to host these dark rituals, which would be a severe institutional embarrassment. And 3. Specific foreign targets. Any reference to the foreign individuals, politicians, or military leaders who were targeted by operational curses is redacted. Hypothesis: revealing the names of the targets the CIA attempted to hex would cause a massive international diplomatic crisis, demonstrating the agency's willingness to employ tactics universally regarded as insane or malicious. Subproject 142 was not shut down because of ethical outrage. It was shut down because of operational ineffectiveness and ridicule. The internal memos suggest that senior leadership became increasingly embarrassed by the expenditures, particularly after a field operative noted the program was, quote, funding a lot of cheap velvet capes, but producing no intelligence, end quote. The project confirmed that even with government funding, magic does not work as a reliable form of warfare or espionage. The primary success of the project was confirming a negative result, that the psychic arms race was, in this sense, a delusion. Was MK Ultra Subproject 142 a success? As an occult warfare initiative, absolute failure. The project failed to provide any verifiable, actionable intelligence or to cause any measurable operational disruption via non-conventional means. The correlation between a ritual and a target's misfortune was entirely coincidental. As an intelligence collection program, failure. The psychic readings and astral projections provided useless, vague, and non-specific information. As a legacy file, success. The project is a monumental success in demonstrating the lengths to which the CIA was willing to go during the Cold War. It confirms that the agency was so desperate to combat perceived Soviet psychic advances that they temporarily abandoned scientific rationale entirely. The final official evaluation declared the project's output, quote, a net zero of actionable intelligence with a maximum risk of institutional ridicule, end quote. The Black Mass experiment remains one of the most unbelievable chapters in the MK Ultra saga. It is a cautionary tale about how fear of the unknown, specifically fear of Soviet advances in unconventional warfare, can lead a highly rational intelligence agency into the realms of sheer fantasy. They sought to harness dark power, but only succeeded in generating a vast, embarrassing paper trail. We have exposed the agency's attempt to weaponize the supernatural. I'll see you in the archives. Remember to like this project and subscribe to the feed for surprises. We've exposed the failed weaponization of curses. Next, we dive deep into the program that gave the CIA its most unbelievable philosophical foundation, the gateway process. We're returning to the core document that details how the agency sought to transcend physical reality and explore the universe using altered states of consciousness. This is the official internal analysis that describes the universe as a holographic simulacrum where our minds can manipulate energy and time. If you haven't yet, make sure you listen to the foundational episodes that contextualize this research. They're titled CIA Declassified, Reality is a Simulacrum, Gateway Process, for the full theory, and also CIA Declassified, The Psychotic Fringe, T-Glow, and the Tragic End of the Psychic Cold War, covering Project Stargate, for the operational application, and CIA Declassified Intelligence Assessment of Curses, Rituals, and Unconventional Influence, which provides the core context for all psychic and occult investigations. The core file is the Monroe Gateway Debriefing, detailing the stunning conclusion that reality itself is a construct. This is the true story of how the CIA tried to hack the universe. In the meantime, keep an eye on the shadows, mind your step, and question your realities. I'll see you in the archives.